Hey guys, so for today's video I wanted to talk about cold calls. Also, I think some professors call them recitations, things like that. Whatever you call them. For me, they're my worst nightmare. So I thought I would kind of just talk about what my professors have done, because every single one of them has done something different, and then kind of go through at least 7, if not more, depending on what I remember. Just things that I think you should remember or try to do in order to prepare and have a successful cold call. So for me, in my experience, I have a lot of anxiety. I don't like standing up in front of people talking or sitting down in front of people to talk. I mean, I like talking. I just don't like to see all the eyes on me, I guess, is kind of my thing. And I also, so what happens to me during a cold call is I blank, lose it. No clue what I read, no clue what the answers are, might not even know my name. Like, I'm just awful at it. So, obviously that's a problem when you're being cold called, and it sucks. So for me, for my professors, I had 2 professors who had us stand the whole time and the rest that let us sit. So the 2 that had us stand, for one was contracts, and what he would do is he would pick 2 students to do each case. And if they're short cases, maybe both cases, or 2 cases, I mean. And then what those students would do is he'd assign one as attorney for one side and one as the attorney for the other side, plaintiff and defendant, and walk through the case, walk through what happened, why the decision was made, what decision was made, all those kinds of things, kind of ask questions about the facts, things like that. That one wasn't too hard because you had someone to play off of, but it was scary, intimidating, and he was pretty scary, intimidating. He's my favorite professor to date, but he was still intimidating.
So, I mean, I say to date, but I'm pretty sure he'll be my favorite professor always. But well, anyway.
Not the point. But yeah, so that one was tough. The other one was torts. What he would have us do is stand, ask a bunch of questions, but didn't follow the cases that we had to read, just change the facts completely, ask the questions, not give you the answer, made it all very theoretical. It was very, very difficult to do a cold call for him. I don't think I ever did one with him, though.
Maybe I did once? I can't remember. It might have just been a nightmare. I don't even know if it was real. No clue.
But anyway, for civil procedure, that one was a little different. He let us sit down. They tended to be a lot longer just because the cases were a lot longer. And of course, a lot more procedural. So a lot more detailed information was needed. So that one was easier to prepare for once you knew what you were looking for, but hard to catch every little thing. And what he would do is he would sit there and just wait for you to get the answer. So where my other 2 professors that I've talked about so far would let someone else raise their hand and give you the answer, this professor would just wait and wait and wait and then see if maybe anybody else knew the answer. But there was a lot of waiting. That was also intimidating. For property is interesting because it's hard to make sense of property sometimes. Lots of transfers of title and possible transfers of title, and it moved from this person to this person to this person, sometimes 3 people in the same year, whatever. So there's a lot going on there. And so what she would do is ask you for the facts. She'd say, I don't care. You don't need to know the names of the people. You don't need to know like these like detailed things that don't make sense, but you need to know, okay, it went to this person first, and was it recorded? It went to this person, and then this, and whatever, and was that recorded, and what order, how, when, that kind of thing. And she would kind of do the illustration on the board to untangle that web of crazy. So that was a little bit easier because you had less of the pressure of being like, was it this person? Was it that person? I don't know. But on this date, it moved somewhere to this, right? And so that was just nice. We got to sit during those. Con law, we also got to sit, because, you know, those cases are 75,000 pages long, and if you had to stand the whole time, you'd probably cry. But, so we got to sit, but for con law, it was a little bit more difficult because those cases, like I said, are really, really long, and you have to walk through the reasoning. You walk through the facts, and then you walk through the reasoning, because it's just, first of all, you're walking through years and years of choices, right? And then you have to walk through how they decided to change an old case or old precedent, or create something new, or whatever it is, how they decided to interpret this versus the way they previously interpreted it, or something that has never been interpreted, so on and so on. And for constitutional law cases especially, although other cases definitely had this too, but especially constitutional law cases, you get a concurrence and a dissent, and you have to walk through those too, and those reasonings, and why did this concurrence feel that it needed its own thing separate from the majority opinion, and going on and on. So those can be difficult too. And then for criminal law, she didn't actually have us do any real recitations. I think she called on 5 people the whole semester. That was it. I mean, it was not a lot of people at all. And I'm sorry, I'm just got a pain in my leg. So she didn't really call on anyone or anything. And what she did was she kind of walked through the cases and asked blanket questions to everyone. Everyone did not always participate, but she tried. So basically every professor's different. Everyone is going to do something different. Every single one of them wants something different from you. It's just the way it goes. So getting used to each professor takes time. So the first couple weeks can be really difficult, because you're acclimating to this new way of learning, this new language, this new sense of everything. Like, I don't know, I've been to undergrad, I've been to different like certificate programs, all kinds of things, but law school is just a whole different feeling for me sitting down. I guess part of it is because this is finally like what I want to do, and it's so important to me. So there's that too. There's that weight and that pressure, and then everything else. So everyone feels different sitting in those seats. For me, it was just a lot, and a totally new experience, not the same as walking into the first day of any other class or school or anything like that. So you're going through a lot those first year, but especially those first 2 weeks. It's a lot to get through. So, it can be hard and intimidating to realize what your professor is actually looking for, especially because at first you don't even understand the cases yet. You don't understand half of what's going on. That's okay. So these are my tips for maybe tips of what to do, things to remember, and how to successfully get through those cold calls. Maybe not successfully, but at least as well as you can, right? So first is be as prepared as you can. And I know that's like a generic, like, really, that's what you're going to give me kind of answer. But at least always, it's a really good idea. So towards the middle to end of the semester, people are going to stop reading. If they know they've been called on and they're not going to be called on again, more power to them. If they're just going to do it just so that they can study and hope they don't get called on, again, more power to them. Me, I didn't like to not read. Only when I was incredibly stressed and overwhelmed and going absolutely crazy did I not read. That's just me. But for me, I tried to always be as prepared as I could be. Sometimes that wasn't very prepared, but it's what I could do. And that is something you have to learn. What you can do, should do, and want to do are all very different. And you can't always aim for the highest. Sometimes what you can has to be enough for you. That's okay. That's probably a different subject, but it popped into my head. But anyway, be as prepared as you can be. So take notes. Especially at first, when you don't know what your professor wants, brief like crazy. Your briefs aren't supposed to be very long. Definitely not supposed to be over a page. Who cares when you're trying to be prepared? at first. Later, when you're better at it, when you understand what your professor wants and stuff, then yeah, you can give yourself those crazy limitations, like only a page or whatever you want. But at first, don't worry about anyone else. Don't worry about what it looks like when you have all these notes in front of you. Do what you have to do. If that's what's going to make you feel better, do what you have to do. Take notes, highlight, all of that kind of stuff. Eventually, you're probably just going to book brief. That's fine. Saves time. It's great for you. Or you'll just have small notes. Like I used to cut a paper in half for a property and do that. Whatever. I'll show you guys that later. But eventually you're going to get better at it. At the beginning, don't be embarrassed by comparing your notes to someone else's. Don't do it. It doesn't matter. Never actually compare your notes to someone else's because everybody learns differently. But especially at the beginning, just don't worry about anyone else. Do what you need to do to make yourself comfortable. Second thing, and this is something to remember, and it's that no one's going to remember your cold call. Even if you were really funny. Even if you were really embarrassing. Even if you were unprepared. They will not remember. Maybe they'll remember that you were unprepared. But that's probably because they were glad about it and probably not a good friend. Or if they are your friend and you're unprepared, then they probably remember only because they wanted so badly to help you or something like that. That's a good friend. And they'll probably never bring it up, so you'll never even know that they remember it. That's a really good friend. But for the most part, no one is going to remember your cold call. You will not even remember your cold call. It might dawn on you every now and then like, oh, I know why I still remember this case. It was my cold call. But you'll forget. And that's fine. That's fine. The only cold call I truly remember is for civil procedure. My professor... Oh, I said two-way window. It was a two-way mirror. I said two-way window. My professor thought that was funny. He's like, all windows are two-way. I'm like, thanks a lot. Now it is funny because duh, but it was just what popped out of my head because I was so nervous. It happens. No one else remembers that. I don't think they do. It's fine. You remember your own cold calls at best. No one's going to remember. Don't worry. Don't worry. Next, third thing, some professors just like to mess with you. Yeah, they just do. Oh well, I guess I don't know how to help you with that because
I still hate it and find it funny and rude and everything.
Part of it is they want to prepare you, right? It's not always going to be easy to be standing in front of someone making an argument. It's just not. Part of it is they enjoy it. Part of it is they want to see if you're going to stand your ground, which is a big part of moot court too, by the way. And it's just that even if you're wrong, can you make an argument for why you think you're right? Other times they just want to mess with you. It's fine. It's okay. Like I said, no one's going to remember, and it's fine. It's fine. Fourth, if it's allowed, remember that people can or might jump in to help you. They're not judging you. They're not frustrated with you, anything like that. They just have the right answer. That's okay. Embrace the help. It's fine. I will say that none of my professors allowed like the person helping you to take over your cold call. You still had to do your cold call. But they got to help you with that one answer that hopefully that was the only thing you got stuck on, right? So embrace it. Life goes on. It is fine. It's fine. Next, most people aren't even paying attention. Even the people staring at you probably are daydreaming. All that they're listening to is anything the professor says. Because you have the same answers they do, and those aren't the answers you need, right? For contracts, you need to know the rules. For civil procedure, you need to know the rules. For con law, you need to know the reasoning, probably. For property, you need to know the reasoning accompanied with the rules, kind of. That'll make sense later. But you don't need to know what the person answered in their cold call. You need to know what the professor said to take away from that case. That's what you need to know. So that's what they're going to be listening for. The first few weeks, yeah, they're probably going to be paying attention to you only because they want to know what they need to do during their cold call. Once everybody's been or a few people have been called on and stuff, the number of people who are paying attention get less and less and less, because the people who get called on realize, oh yeah, nothing of what I said was actually important. Only what he said. And that's fine. Or she. I do have some female professors, but I don't know. My favorite professor is a guy, and I think he's the one I'm always picturing when I'm talking about this. But whatever. Next, recitations, cold calls, whatever you want to call them, are awful for everyone in some way. Even the most confident people, it'll be awful for them, probably because not even they can get every answer right. So it happens. It's awful. It is awful. It's just like, I mean, some people enjoy them, or maybe not enjoy them, but just don't care. That's cool. I wish, but I'm not one of those people, and they're just awful all the time. And most people I know hate them too. It's fine. And it's because when you stand up and you feel like all eyes are on you and there's all this pressure and your teacher is only paying attention to you, you feel stupid. Or everything just escapes you and then you feel stupid. Whatever it is. Everybody feels totally lost and like awful standing there doing a cold call. Just feel bad. It's fine. You'll be okay. It is okay. They're gonna suck. I'm sorry. Also, when someone else is up there, if you've already been up there, or if you haven't, remember that feeling. You know, if you haven't been up there, remember the feeling of what it feels like to possibly be called on. If you have been up there, remember what it felt like to be called on, you know? And don't judge someone for their cold call. Don't judge them for not being prepared. You know there have been days that you're not prepared. You just maybe didn't get called on. It's okay. Don't laugh unless they actually made a joke. Don't laugh at someone's wrong answer. That's so awful. And help if you can. Law school is competitive, but cold calls do not have to be competitive, and you definitely don't have to sit there and watch someone suffer if you can help. It's awful. And the last thing is that most cold calls, as far as I know, are not graded. So it is okay to throw the competitiveness out the window and help someone get through it, if your teacher allows that. It's okay to do poorly if you happen to do poorly. It's okay. You know, they're not graded, at least as far as I know. For us, they have not been. One teacher did rate our cold call, I think from like 1 to 5. And every time we got called on, rated it in some way. And he supposedly was going to use that to bump our grade if he needed to at the end of the semester. That's nice, but it doesn't mean it's going to be used, and it's not actually graded. It can help you get a better grade. That's great. That's a good reason to want to be prepared, want to do it. That's fine. Don't have to, you know? So don't worry so much about it. I know that sounds so easy, and I feel dumb saying it to you because I know how much I still worry about it. Still do. So take that how you will. I understand if you think I'm crazy for even saying the words because you're going to worry anyway. I get that. I'm like that. But this is me telling you, like, it's really okay to do poorly. It's really okay to not worry about it. And it's really okay to not worry about anyone who wants to make fun of you for your cold call. Really okay to do that. Because that's just rude. Oh, sorry, I kicked the camera. It's just rude. Don't worry about those people. You don't need them. And there was one more thing I had in my head and I forgot it. I don't remember. I'm sorry. But that's basically it. For me, those are my tips. Be prepared. Don't worry about anyone else. No one's going to remember. You won't even remember, more than likely. some professors like to mess with you. Some people might jump in and save you. That's nice of them. Most people aren't paying attention to you. That I kind of did twice, but it was worth it. Everyone hates cold calls. And if they don't, I don't believe you. And have compassion for the person standing up there. Remember what it feels like. Remember how much you worry about yours. Just have some compassion. And they're not being graded. It's okay. So those were my tips / things to remember. And I hope you guys enjoyed them. I hope I didn't blow through anything too quickly. If I did, leave a comment. Let me know. I will answer it. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope this is helpful. I hope you didn't roll your eyes the whole time, because I know this is really, really basic, like, kind of advice, but it's really, really the only advice I could give you, because as much as you don't want to hear someone tell you not to worry, it's really the best advice I can give you. So let me know if you have any questions. Hopefully this is helpful. I hope you guys liked it. And I'll see you guys soon.